Hey guys, welcome back. Wanted to do a brief market update. Last week we discussed that we could potentially capitulate and bounce. So far you can see that this is a trend line that is holding as support. We have bounced off of it, and every time we bounced off of it, we've had at least 10% rally each time, right? So again, once again, we are bouncing off the bottom of the trend line. We broke it very briefly, but we did come back into it. So bigger picture, this is still my primary account. I am looking to see if we move back to the top of the channel in an ABC. Obviously, it's not going to go straight up. So again, I am looking to see if when this gap filled, will we reject or will we overshoot to this trend line, which is also held as support, and possibly reject there. So this is, again, my primary account. Secondary account, again, is this. If we zoom out, again, was a channel holding a support, right? And we briefly, if I zoom out, you can see that we briefly broke it, and you can see today's gap up, right? We have come back into the channel. So alternatively, if we may not be this bullish, right, we could just push to the top of the wedge, which would be about 4060 before we come down for the final C wave. And in this case, the A wave is not over, versus in this case, the big A wave is over. So let's take it step by step and level by level to see how we proceed, right? And again, something else to note is we closed on a doji, and now we're having a bullish engulfing candle. And if we have a trend day today, any pullback would likely be a buy, at least to the top of the channel, as I mentioned here. And lastly, if today, right, and if this is like we just have a pump and dump, right, today in the morning, then this is likely a wave 4. And if this is what a wave 5 sell-off would look like, and if we start to sell off like this, then it definitely has one last wave to the downside. I'd say about 3,500 before we're pushed back up, before this A wave is over. So those are the 3 possibilities that I have, right? With that being in mind, I wanted to briefly go over this week's watch list. The first one I have is CRM. You can see I have calls over 168.81, target 177, 187 in 2 to 3 weeks. You can see this is the channel, right? Holding downwards, and here you can see that I have an ABC and a bigger ABC, right? So you can see 168.81 is a fib level, and if we break over that, you can see we have a gap to fill at 178, and we have another gap to fill that would kind of align with the top of the channel. So that's where I got my targets from, and CRM has a lot of negative gamma expiring. So that's why I have it on this week's watch list. The next one is Pfizer, and we've been over Pfizer, right? You can see that on Pfizer, we had a retouch here, right? And then it failed. So far, it's done pretty much what we wanted, right? But if the market is bullish, I'm not sure how much Pfizer is going to follow through to the downside. But as you can see, we are in this channel, and we are holding it as support. So I'm just, it's a continued short till it proves otherwise. So Pfizer puts below 46, target 43.32, which is also the 200-day moving average on the weekly. And in 2 to 3 weeks, again, I'm unable to show you these charts because I'm in Vegas and my Wi-Fi is really, really bad. So this is the easiest way for me to record this video. Anyway, moving on. The next one I have is AMD, right? And we had AMD as a short last 2 weeks, and it followed through all the way to the downside, right? So that's why I thought that as long as our chart is playing out, I thought this would be a good candidate for long if the market is bullish. So over 84, I have targets of 90, 94 that would pretty much take it to this gap here when a gap down from this wedge, right? In 3 to 4 weeks. So that's what I have for AMD. The next one I have is Lucid, and Lucid again is in a downtrend channel, right? And you can see the same ABC pattern on CRM can be observed on Lucid, right? And so if we break out of this wedge, right, I'd say 17 is approximately 17.5 is a good area. It has a gap to fill at 18. And obviously, if it breaks out, it will have quite a decent impulse to move to the upside. So I have 18.5 and 22 as my targets. And that's what I have for Lucid. The next one I have is ZOM. And you can see oil did bounce, right, overnight. And you can see that made sense because ZOM was on this channel. So if ZOM after this bounce breaks the channel, then you can see it's broken a 6-month channel, and it should have significant downside. So in the case that it breaks, I have puts, and that's the reason I have puts below 85, right? It targets 80, 78, 74, give it 3 to 4 weeks. And the last one I have is shop. And shop, again, is very oversold, has a lot of negative gamma expiring. And if the market bounces, is again a pretty good candidate for a long. So you can see that I have shop calls over 328, target 348, 370, with a stop at 322. So that's what I have for this week's watch list. Again, to go over the index, if today's trend is just a pump and dump, then we're likely in a wave 5 coming down to make one last low, right? So it would just be a dip to buy personally for me. Alternatively, right, if we have a follow through day, any pullback is a good move up to 4056. And yeah, you can see I'm personally leaning towards an 8 bottom, but I'm always looking to see if any of these scenarios play out. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you guys later.